Hey everybody, this is Zach with Tanuki Games, and today we're taking a look at House of the Dead 2 and 3 Return for the Nintendo Wii. It was developed by Sega and released in 2008. The House of the Dead franchise has always been a staple of any trip to the arcade, and this re-release brings that experience to the Wii with excellent results. The story of the 1998 game, House of the Dead 2, picks up right after the events of the original story. Using Venice as a backdrop, House of the Dead 2 finds your characters looking for G. Pandemonium has exploded all around the flooded city, and it's up to you and a friend to get to the bottom of what's going on. The 2002 follow-up, House of the Dead 3, brings you to a facility stuffed to the rafters with undead enemies of all shapes and sizes. And then you take the role of Lisa, who is there to save her father. G is her partner, and it's up to them to find out what's happening at this strange facility. The story in any arcade game is going to take a back seat to the gameplay, and the House of the Dead series has always provided a fun experience for novice and expert light gun players. The core experience is essentially unchanged between the two games. You point your zapper at the screen and aim for the head. As you shoot, you run out of ammunition and you'll need to reload. This is done by waving the gun away from the screen, which will cause your gun to reload. This feature can be a bit cumbersome since you need to realign your shot each time you reload. Both games have branching paths. House of the Dead 2 has contextual ways of changing your path. For example, if you shoot this zombie on the car and save this guy, you'll be put onto one path. If you let the zombie kill the driver, you'll be given a different path. In House of the Dead 3, you simply choose which path you'd like to take next. The visuals in both games are showing their age, but they both look amazing to this day. House of the Dead 2 was ported to the Dreamcast and it looks good for the era. While the backgrounds can look somewhat muddy, the zombies are all large and interesting. The only major detraction for the visuals is when you get hit. When a zombie bites you, they leave a bite mark that takes up the whole screen. It's hard to see where the enemy is, and you can take unnecessary damage. House of the Dead 3 shows significant improvements in the visuals. The 6-year difference shows just how much the medium grew in a relatively short amount of time. The characters are bigger and more detailed. Many of the bigger characters are more grotesque and imposing. The facility doesn't provide as much variety in landscape since it all has an industrial theme. The big improvements come in the lighting and effects seen throughout the experience.
Let's go down.
The sound in both games is enjoyable. The moans of zombies being blasted, or the sound of your shotgun piercing holes into droves of zombies coming your way, all sound good. The calamity that ensues as you blast wave after wave of enemies keeps the action exciting. The soundtrack in House of the Dead 2 is more traditional horror. The most prominent instrument is an organ. Which creates bombastic and creepy vibes. There are MIDI drums and synths that all sound good, if not campy. The soundtrack in House of the Dead 3 is much more sophisticated.
Not even Rogan is this persistent. Reload.
It has more movement in each score, and the overall package is more dynamic. Since the setting is in a facility run amok by science, the soundtrack is a bit more sci-fi with theremins and a lot more harps and hi-hats. The voice acting in both games is beyond the pale.
We have to stop him. James, back me up. Okay.
When a lady says no, she means it.
Help me! Help me! Thanks for saving me.
There are so many negatives you could say about the voice acting. The characters are stilted, emotionless, and don't even enunciate well. Despite these flaws, it is spectacular to behold. This is particularly true in House of the Dead 2 with a lot more dialogue from random citizens. The writing is especially cheesy and it captures the B-movie feel perfectly. The difficulty in House of the Dead 2 and 3 is pretty tough on normal. They were designed to be quarter eaters, and this impacts the gameplay significantly. You can bump up or down the difficulties in the menus. You can also change the color of the blood in both House of the Deads from red to green if you have younger players who want to get in on the action. House of the Dead 2 and 3 Return goes for about $8, and that's a huge bang for your buck. Especially if you don't have a CRT lying around anymore, it's one of the best ways you can play these games today. House of the Dead was always a series that I would throw down a few quarters upon each visit to the arcade. It's the only series that I have played all of the installments in an arcade. The House of the Dead series has gone dormant, and it doesn't look like we'll be getting a resurgence of the franchise anytime soon. If you're a person who likes on-rails shooters, B-movie horror, or blasting zombies, you should give House of the Dead 2 and 3 Return a shot. This is Zach with Tanuki Games. Please remember that a like, a comment, or a subscribe means a lot to me and of course the channel. Enjoy!
Reload. Reload. Lisa, keep running. See ya.